Live to both?
We should be live.
We are live to both.
Yeah, we're live.
Welcome, guys.
Hi,
this
YouTube.
is Side B of Awesome Hardware, episode 103, the live show that Paul and I do every single Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. If you guys are chilling with us right now and you haven't seen part 1, you can go ahead and watch it on my channel, youtube.com/c/bitwit. Or you can find the link in Paul's description of his YouTube video if you're watching this on Twitch. Welcome back.
It's accurate.
Hope you guys are doing well, and we've got a hell of a show for you guys today. Paul has planned it. He spent all morning and all afternoon and evening crafting the show. He said to me it's going to be the best show he's ever done.
Hours of
and
work. Everything
you're about to see represents his full potential as a live streamer. So stay tuned. It's going to be a hell of a ride.
Your life will never be the same.
You'll be forever changed. It'll be a spiritual moment we'll all share together, and we'll all cry at the end. So,
such a
beautiful
great show.
stuff. Yes, absolutely. Tear jerking already. And, we got a Gamers Nexus article
yes, we
to talk about. Lots of good stuff here.
Glorious.
We are still drinking beer. I'm still working on my Delirium Tremens that Paul got for his birthday. You've started on a new beer. What is that?
This is by Ninkasi Brewing Company. This was actually a present from my sister and her family for my birthday.
Thanks,
Sister and brother-in-law and their family. This is a Vanilla Otis Oatmeal Stout. And it's quite,
sounds tasty.
It's quite good.
Yummy.
If you finish that, you can have some of this.
I will eventually.
Okay.
I'm still sipping on the DT.
So yes, cheers to all you guys. Thanks for being here.
Cheers.
And yeah,
we have the best live show ever.
it's the best show.
I'll just say. I'm just gonna say.
We do curse from time to time, so fair warning to you guys who are sensitive to that kind of thing. But we're going to talk about technology.
What do we got?
Going to argue stuff, going to discuss things, and we're going to start off with, of course, the tech news, as we always do. Because we end the first half with tech news, we begin the second half with tech news, and that's how it dovetails together to create a seamless fucking show that everyone loves.
Good lord.
Sorry, I'm getting very excited. So Gamers Nexus.
Hell yeah!
We all love Gamers Nexus. They're good. They do good work. They try to do everything super legit.
They kind of know
they
their
do
stuff.
Yeah, they kind of know
A
their
little
stuff.
bit.
So if you guys didn't already know, you can take your existing RX 480 or RX 470 if you happen to have one of these cards from AMD. You can download a VBIOS from the internet.
BIOS.
And then you can install that onto your graphics card and basically turn it from a 480 into a 580.
Nice.
Or from a 470 into a 570. And it's kind of fun. It does that by increasing the amount of voltage that's provided to the GPU, as well as a few other parameters that are in there. So that's just one thing that you should know. I would say if you have a dual with a GPU with dual BIOSes, which there are some that are out there that have that. I think Sapphire, I want to say, has one, and there's a couple others.
Yeah.
But
Power color
even beyond that, even without doing the BIOS flashing thing, you can still take a 580 and a 480 and crossfire them together.
Yeah, why not?
Because they're the same GPU.
Yeah.
It's the same GPU inside,
Sure.
so you're able to do that.
And you don't even need to flash the BIOS on the 480 to get it to work. It'll just...
Yeah. I would imagine you could flash the BIOS on the 480 and then...
Be interesting to see if that improves performance any.
It might, because when you do run these in Crossfire, if you happen to do so, like Gamers Nexus did here, they will run at the frequency of the slowest GPU.
Yeah.
So updating your 480 to a 580 or something like that might cause it to run at a higher frequency. And
Is that
it
what
might
they found?
give you better performance. They didn't test in that configuration. They just tested with a 480 and a 580.
Okay.
They were testing with MSI's cards. Their Gaming X or whatever the hell that is.
Right.
They said that there is no explicit inhibitor to forbid users from running Crossfire with an RX 400.
At the frequency of
What?
Sorry.
What?
Jesus
Jeez.
Christ.
I don't like to hear myself talk.
Yeah, it's really awkward.
I feel
You sound horrible.
very self-conscious now.
Yeah, you should.
But anyway, there's no explicit inhibitor, they say, from running these cards in Crossfire with the 400 and 500 series cards, as long as you use a 470 and a 570, or 480 and a 580. The frequency, again, will be matched to the slowest card, and then, of course, you're going to give up something for running in Crossfire. Most notably is going to be the amount of power that's drawn. So their tests that they ran in Firestrike Extreme and For Honor showed a pretty significant jump up in power draw. It was something like 54% higher power compared to just running the stock 480, 37% more power than running a stock 580. These tests, by the way, were run on a 7700K base system, and they also ran a bunch of games. So they did find, and I'm going to briefly scroll through these games. This article's linked in the description if you guys want to take a closer look at this. But they did find that when scaling took effect, that it was a pretty nice performance bump. And in fact, it was scoring between a GTX 1080 and 1080 Ti's amount of performance.
Pretty damn good.
Considering that a 1080 costs $500,
Yeah.
1080 Ti costs $650, maybe $700.
Yeah.
That's pretty decent. However, that was not always the case because Crossfire does not always scale across everything.
Right.
Where it did scale well was 3D Mark and Sniper Elite 4. When it didn't work, it could potentially even have negative scaling, as it did in Mass Effect Andromeda.
Yikes.
Where the 580 and 480 scores are down here at the bottom, but you can see are below just the 580 by itself or just the 480 by itself.
Yeah.
That occurred at different resolutions as well. Also had negative scaling in Ghost Recon Wildlands. And then there were also other situations where it had awkward scaling, like it scaled well at 1080 and 1440, or at least scaled okay at 1080 and 1440.
I'm sorry. Is this before or after he flashed the BIOS for the RX?
He never flashed the BIOS.
I
was bringing that up as just sort of a tangentially linked topic to this.
Gotcha.
This is just a 480 and 580 cross-fired together.
Got it.
Yes. In For Honor, though, for some reason, there was some good scaling at 1440 and 1080, but when they ran it at 4K, it was like a stuttering mess, and they couldn't even really test it. So
it's kind of with multi-GPU stuff.
Yes. All this is to say,
interesting.
It is something you can do. It's not something that would be like, hey, everyone go and get this configuration and set it up.
Yeah.
If you have a specific game that scales well and you see people benchmarking and it works well and you really like that game, then maybe it's something to go for. But by and large, probably not something you should consider. But interesting that it can be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Man, I wonder how long it takes Gamers Nexus to make these graphs. Just
A long time. Long time. They don't sleep. They have no.
They don't. They don't know the word.
They clearly never sleep.
Who needs it?
Okay, we sort of discussed this a little bit on Kyle's half of the show, but SK Hynix has just announced that they have GDDR6 memory for GPUs that is in the works and on the way. It's expected to launch in 2018, and theoretically, they are going to be teaming up with Nvidia to use this type of memory with their Volta-based GPU, which again we kind of discussed on Kyle's half of the show, but I'm going to really quickly rattle off some of these specs. These memory chips would be 8 gigabit chips, which would be about 1 gigabyte of actual GDDR5.6 memory per chip, which to me means that you could have it in configurations if you have 8 packages per side on a graphics card. You could probably theoretically have up to 16 gigs of this on a single graphics card with the specs that they're currently listing, which would be kind of interesting. 16 gigs of GDDR6. I mean, we've already got like Titan X's with 12 gigs, so
yeah,
increasing it from there, that's not a bad thing. It's going to be manufactured on a 20-something nanometer manufacturing process. SK Hynix isn't saying specifically. They said 2x nanometer, which means anything between 20 and 29. Each chip is going to have an I/O data rate of 16 gigabits per second per pin, which is the world's fastest, according to the article. The memory interface is 384-bit, providing 768 gigabytes per second of bandwidth. That would be compared to like a GDDR5X in the 1080 Ti right now, which runs at 484. 484, 768.
Hot damn.
There you go.
Yep.
Faster.
Twice as fast.
And in case you're curious about competition, not just SK Hynix, but also Micron has been at least mentioning production of GDDR6 and getting that underway by the end of the year. So cool. We need fast memory for graphics cards, and we need more of it because memory prices have been going up.
It'll be interesting to see.
Oh god, the dogs.
Oh god,
the dogs.
It'll be kind of cool to see the difference between the Micron G5 or GDDR6 and SK Hynix GDDR6.
Yeah.
And to see if there's any sort of discrepancy between those.
Like which one works really well with,
which one explodes?
with Ryzen processor? Which one explodes?
Which one works really well with Ryzen processors and which one combusts into flames?
Which one just bursts into flames?
That's never happened before.
Okay. All right, next up in the news segment, we're going to talk a little bit about net neutrality. And just to clarify, right out of the gate here, we do not aim to make a political show. We don't usually delve into politics, and we don't talk about politics. That said, politics affect the FCC and therefore have sort of a trickle-down effect on the topics that we usually talk about here on the show. Therefore, some of this might overlap just slightly. So our apologies. But also just to point out, when we discuss stuff like the FCC and net neutrality, we've been doing this show for a few years now. Back in 2015, when the FCC chair was Tom Wheeler, who was appointed, he was at least the FCC chair under Obama. I'm not sure if he was specifically appointed by Obama. But anyway, point is, we were very, very critical of him as well, until he actually went through with the decision to classify internet communications and data transfers under Title II, treating it like a utility, which was the right decision. So all that is to say that right now, FCC is not run by Tom Wheeler anymore. Boo. The chairman of the FCC is Ajit Pai.
This guy seems like a tool.
And, well, actually, if you read articles about him, he's supposed to be a really nice guy in person. But
so is the devil.
That doesn't mean that he can't necessarily be in the pocket of internet service providers. So, net neutrality. Ajit Pai is Trump's FCC chair. He was appointed by Trump back in January. He's going to deliver a speech that's titled "The Future of Internet Regulation" on Wednesday in Washington. And the reason that this might concern you or me or anyone who uses the internet on a regular basis is because net neutrality rules are at stake. Classification of the internet as a Title II utility is also at stake. They might roll that back. It's expected to announce that he's going to begin the process of taking public comments to repeal the rules approved by the FCC under President Barack Obama in early 2015. So public comments is something that we encourage lots of people to do and comment on and let the FCC know about when they were originally considering this back in 2015. This apparently is something that will be required once again, is for lots of people to let it be known if they want their internet treated in such a way that all data will be treated equally and that we don't have internet fast lanes or the possibility of stuff being done. Basically, the idea that data that comes from one location might be treated differently than data that comes from another location.
Taking public comment, does that mean like petitions and stuff like that, or
just people can submit comments? They set up a website. People can say
there's a comment section.
Yeah, people can say, I don't think you should have net neutrality rules because I'm in the pocket of an internet service provider, or you should have net neutrality should be established because I'm a reasonable person and I don't want to have to pay more for my internet bill.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hopefully they listen. Hopefully he listens.
If you guys want to have a discussion with anyone who you might talk to, because I think that's what's really important right now, is discussing these types of topics with people who might not fully understand them. Compare it to
Netflix.
No.
Just compare it to Netflix.
No,
Everyone will understand.
Compare it to how cable works. You can bring Netflix into it, but compare it to how cable works. Right now, if you're watching our show, chances are you have an internet connection and you pay an internet service provider a certain dollar amount per month in order to have that connection to the internet. Usually it's around $40 to $100 in the US is what you'd typically pay depending on how much bandwidth you actually have. But it also depends on whether you have the ability to choose between multiple internet service providers. That's another thing that the rollback of these rules will affect, is the ability to have competition in your area. And competition, by the way, is not competition between Verizon, who provides your cell phone plan, and Comcast, who provides your wired connection to your house. But the way they're changing things will say, like, oh, there is competition there because there is a cell phone provider and an internet provider, which isn't the way it should work because those do not necessarily overlap. But they're adjusting the rules to make things more favorable for the internet service providers. If you want to compare this to how cable works, basically look at it this way. Let's take a small collection of your favorite places to go on the internet, and let's say let's say we collect the ones that are going to use the most amount of data. Like, let's say YouTube and maybe a couple other websites that are your favorite to go to, but also happen to use a lot of data. YouTube, Netflix, maybe one or two others. Your internet service provider, if net neutrality rules aren't in place, could potentially say, we want to make those specific websites part of our premium plan. And you can pay us your basic rate for internet connection, but you know what? These specific sites that you like to go to a lot that use a lot of bandwidth because they use a lot of bandwidth or because we just want to charge people money, those now you need to pay to be part of our premium tier of service, like you would with a cable plan where you have to pay, oh, well, if you want HBO and Cinemax and these premium channels, you got to pay this for this package. And you know what? We're charging you an extra $30 a month for that because it's a package with a bunch of websites in it. And maybe you don't want to go to like 90% of those websites, but the two that you really want to go to, you got to pay for those now. That's the way that cable has worked for quite a long time, and that's the way that the internet doesn't work. And that's what makes the internet great, is because you can pay a single fee for all the data that comes in and out over the line, and then you can access the internet and go to the websites you want to go to and access the information that you want to go to. And that's why it's such a strong competitor to cable in general, and it's why there's this cord cutter movements for people who are just cutting the cord and not even having a cable connection at all, because they get all the information and entertainment and whatever that they need over the internet proper. Anyway, so
that was a beautiful rant.
Thank you.
Actually, it was one of the most actually insightful and productive rants that we've ever had on this show.
I'm trying
very good.
to enunciate.
Yes,
is what I'm really trying to do.
Trying really hard not to act buzzed.
So
that was beautiful.
The FCC
Well
could
said.
potentially hold an initial vote on this proposal at the FCC's May 18th meeting. The rules approved by the FCC in 2015 prohibit broadband providers from giving or selling access to speedy internet, or essentially a fast lane, to certain internet services over others, reclassifying internet service providers much like utilities. And federal courts approved this because the ISPs appealed it, and earlier this year, federal courts upheld it. However, Ajit Pai wants to change all of these things. Internet providers, this is a quote directly, internet providers like AT&T, Verizon Communications, and Comcast have argued net neutrality rules make it harder to manage internet traffic, and investment in additional capacity would be less likely. However...
Who's this a quote from?
What?
Who's this a quote from?
This quote is from the article.
Oh, okay.
Yes. He's basically saying the internet providers have said that under net neutrality, like there's going to be less investment in internet infrastructure. However, if you look at the past year when it has been classified as Title II, that's completely like BS.
Yeah, it's been perfectly fine.
Article here from Consumerist, which has very specifics, such as that many of the nation's largest broadband providers have grown in the last 2 years, since February 26, 2015, which is when the Title II classification went into effect. AT&T's share prices have increased more than 20%. Comcast's is up 26%. Verizon's is at the same level, although it's fluctuated 15% in either direction. Charter's is up 40%. The only company that is down is CenturyLink. They are down 50%. I assume that's because they're a shitty ISP. Infrastructure spending, 2016 versus 2015. Comcast's is up 7.9%. AT&T's is up 10.6%. Charter and Time Warner is confusing because they merged together during that time period, but they spent $7.5 billion in 2016, which is more than Charter and Time Warner spent individually pre-merger.
It's kind of funny how these ISPs are arguing that net neutrality is going to harm them when, like you said, like when you were comparing it to the cable situation. Like, look at where cable is now compared to the internet.
Yeah.
Like it's being overshadowed by the internet because the internet up to this point has
because
had
people would rather
net neutrality.
Go to YouTube and watch some stuff that they want to watch and not deal with the BS of, fast forwarding through commercials or whatever the heck else they want to do.
Yeah.
There's alternative ways of accessing information and accessing entertainment, and these are companies that are trying to push back and use outdated methods of charging people money to give them that information, and also provide artificial bottlenecks because they don't want to upgrade their infrastructure. When net neutrality is in effect, there is competition that's created, and that's why we're seeing investment in infrastructure.
Yeah.
That's why also that we're seeing the proliferation of stuff like unlimited data plans and stuff like that. Part of that is competition because T-Mobile, thank you T-Mobile for doing unlimited data plans competition. But ultimately all this is to say is that the actions that are being taken by Ajit Pai are very much helping internet service providers and are doing nothing to help people who are at home, who use the internet on a daily basis. And they're going to provide internet service providers with means of charging people more money. And they're also going to disincentivize internet service providers for upgrading the networks that they have in place and improving the networks that they have in place to give people more bandwidth and more of what they need. Because by creating an artificial limitation on the amount of bandwidth that's available, they can charge more for it, which is basic economics.
Yeah. It's fucked up. That's basically what it is.
Ajit Pai was rickrolled.
By protesters?
By protesters. So, just to point out, it's not just us ranting about this kind of thing, but some net neutrality advocates actually went into Thursday's FCC monthly open meeting, and they stood up and sang a song that was they rewrote the Rickroll actual song.
Never gonna give you up.
And yeah, and they did it at the thing, which is cute, I guess. And yeah, I mean, it's frustrating because like his comments, the quote that I read you before was based on data provided by U.S. Telecom, which is the internet service provider's lobbying arm. Like, it's just very, very obvious that he's very much in their pocket.
Yeah.
And it's very frustrating to see actions being taken that are very anti-consumer. Because this part of the government is supposed to be there to protect consumers,
right,
and give people the ability to do more, to run businesses on the internet and stuff like that. So, yeah. One last thing before we move on. This is the closing bit. This was posted by Fight for the Future, which is a Twitter account you can follow. They post a lot of stuff about net neutrality and that kind of thing. But this is a billboard that was posted by American Commitment, a BS company which is apparently backed by the Koch brothers.
BS is in bullshit?
Bullshit,
okay.
Yes. They're an anti-net neutrality group, and they posted this sign near the FCC that said, "In 2015, Obama and the tech socialists stole the internet from the people. Now we must take it back."
Wow. How
which is
completely flip-sided and two-faced that is.
Eliminate Title II regulation, which is obviously a bunch of garbage. So
eliminate net neutrality. Bring net neutrality back.
Yeah.
That's exactly what that ad says. American Commitment. Good Lord.
All right. So anyways, that's probably about as much serious content as we can handle from one episode.
Yep. And now
so let's
a
move
montage of puppies.
No.
Oh, okay. Good. Something else.
How about you hook up with a white rhino on Tinder?
Wow.
Yes, a northern white rhino.
More educational. Okay.
There he is. His name is Sudan. How
does he swipe left?
This is legitimate. No, you got to swipe right on Sudan.
Okay.
So this is a new campaign launched on Tuesday. Tinder has partnered with the Ol Pejeta Conservancy in central Kenya to introduce users to Sudan, who is a northern white rhino. He's actually the last he's the world's first last northern white rhino in existence. Male, at least. There are 2 females that are left as well. So this is Sudan. The females' names are Najin and Fatu. However, he has been unable to breed with them due to a number of issues, including old age and low sperm count.
No.
Man, we've all been there.
Artificial insemination. Do that shit.
No, that's what they're working on.
Okay,
so,
good.
This program with Tinder.
Sudan must live on.
So you might see Sudan pop up on your Tinder feed if you're scrolling through there, looking for the ladies or whatever. And if you swipe right on Sudan, it will take you over to a place where you can donate. And they're trying to raise, I believe, something in the area of $9 million.
Wow.
To help with their IVF in vitro fertilization attempts.
Good Lord. Yeah, that shit's not cheap. Even for humans, it's not cheap.
Yeah. It's very expensive.
That's gnarly.
There also are southern white rhinos, apart from the northern white rhinos. They are distinct subspecies, but they're potentially...
Mateable?
There are potentially other options for interspecies mating there.
Woohoo!
The southern white rhinos are not quite as endangered,
Interracial
although
rhino
they still
porn.
are. But Sudan is 42 years old.
That's
Yes,
old.
we're all looking forward to that. Speaking of which, the article did say that they seem to have collected a fair amount of his semen, so that there might be potential for, to create more rhinos in the future with that.
Yeah.
I had like, how do you collect rhino semen?
What?
That's just why.
Yeah.
What's involved?
What does the day in the life of a rhino fluffer look like?
I want just a. Not. I don't need a visual. I don't need video or anything like that. I just want it talked through,
240 hertz,
step by step, and kind of explain to me what's involved there.
So what happens if the northern white rhino mates with a southern white rhino?
Then it creates a hybrid. It creates a
central
hybrid,
white rhino.
Possibly.
Where does it go?
A moderate white rhino.
Do they just drop it in the middle of Africa and just see which way it goes? Just let it choose its own fate?
I don't know. It said it would. It is an option. It would be better to do that than it would be to let the northern white rhino species go extinct.
Yeah.
But it would not be a purebred northern white rhino.
Sudan's he needs help getting it up. He needs Viagra.
Sudan
Rhino Viagra.
Needs all of your moral support. Anyway,
Penis support.
let's move on to hot and heavy hardware.
Hot and heavy.
Let's talk about some hardware that's hot and heavy. And
hot.
I guess that pretty much is it.
That's all we've described it with.
Starting with an article here from the guru of 3D, the Galax Geforce GTX 1080 Ti.
Woo!
Now the
Hall of
1080 Ti,
Fame.
of course, fastest single GPU that's currently available from Nvidia right now. This is a Hall of Fame edition from Galax. It's got a white PCB. It's got an all-white cooler. It has, of course, the over-the-top power delivery that Galax always does with their Hall of Fame editions. Look at that backplate. That's a nice-looking backplate.
I kind of like that nice anodized, like silver metallic.
This is by the way, the quasar zone is where the pictures come from. So this is a watermark, not part of the backplate, by the way. Hall of Fame logo right here is, though. So yeah, 16 plus 3 phase power delivery on this thing.
Damn.
This crown across the top
Looks like LED.
lights up in LEDs.
RGB?
Not clarified whether or not it's RGB or not. I feel like it would be.
Yet.
I feel like it would be.
Yeah.
But who knows? 3 8-pin PCI Express power connectors.
Good lord.
Just ridiculous.
Good lord, oh lord.
Requirements for power delivery.
3 8-pins.
3 8-pins.
Javis.
And then, of course, it is a triple slot design, as you can see here from the profile view.
Reference. Yeah.
Not a whole lot of exhaust here going on the back. They're just very minimal.
It's an open air
I guess
shroud
it's
mostly.
yeah, they're mainly going for that. There's that.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
There's that triple 8-pin power delivery. So just a
semi-opaque.
monstrous card here. You can see the 16 plus 3 phase power delivery here as well.
Jesus.
On the board shot. And yeah, I really like the white PCBs that they do on the Hall of Fame cards. They're very cool. They look very nice.
Galax makes the best white video cards.
So yeah, there's pictures of this now. Speculation as to when it launches. Who knows? Galax has also been known to wait a very long time after a GPU actually launches to actually launch their special version of that GPU. But hey, they got all these pictures, so maybe soon.
Yeah.
Maybe soon.
Maybe soon.
All right, next up, Intel has launched Optane. This happened yesterday morning, was when the embargo lifted. Optane memory, I should say. Optane memory, because Optane refers to a family of products from Intel based on 3D crosspoint technology. Optane memory is very specifically these little 32 and 16 gig. Wow, look how big that picture is.
M.2 drives?
M.2 drives, yes.
Big picture.
Right there. This article is from PC Perspective. It's written by Alan Malventano, and in my opinion, not that I read all of the Optane memory articles on the web, but I think this one is really, really good. So again, if you guys want to check it out, it's linked in the description. So 3D Crosspoint, won't really go into, but it's brand new technology. It's essentially a replacement to like NAND flash. The NAND flash chips that you have on like an SSD, you would use 3D Crosspoint packages instead. And it serves the ultimate function of storing bits of data, just like NAND would do. However, it boasts a bunch of improved features like really, really fast response time, 10 microsecond response time as compared to modern NAND flash, which is about 90 microsecond response time. The product actually launched by Intel today is for consumers, for people at home, and there's two options, a 16 gig and a 32 gig version of this that cost either $44 or $77. Now, if you're like, why the hell would I want a 16 gig SSD or the 32 gig SSD? That'd be a good question.
Cash money.
Intel is setting these up as cache drives. So that is what Optane memory refers to. Optane memory is the caching function solution that Intel has created. You could buy these drives and plug them in and simply use them as a 16 gig SSD or a 32 gig SSD.
It's kind of silly.
And Alan in this article does take two 32 gig ones and plug them in and RAID them up together, which is kind of interesting. And we'll take a look at least a few of their of his performance numbers from these. But let's get back down to the point here, which is that Alan was very impressed. He was comparing this to the P4800X, which is the $1,500 enterprise version of Intel's Optane technology, which is an Optane SSD. Quality of service is what it comes down to with these drives. You have to look very specifically at the very, very small percentage of failures that the drives do. Quality of service in the 99th percentile, 99.9th percentile, 99.99th percentile, and 99.999th percentile. You're looking at the very, very, very few results that were shitty, is basically what you're doing here. Which, in a server environment, makes a lot of sense, which is why the P1400, what is the name of it? P4800X is a really cool product. Now, taking that and translating it over to usefulness for consumers at home who are setting this up as a cache drive, it's harder to translate. If you read this whole article, you will find very, very glowing terms that Alan describes these drives in, because the performance is really, really good. But the way that you measure that performance is in just much more specific scenarios, where you're looking at, again, the very, very smallest number of actions that are taken by the drive that take the longest amount of time when he's looking at quality of service. So I would encourage you guys to take a look at this article if you're interested in more. There is also something to be said about power draw, because these drives do use less power, even SATA drives, something in the range of 2.5 watts versus SATA drives that you can use around 5 or 6 watts. And all this is to say that ultimately what they're being used for is cache drives. So, like, the weird thing is, like, we went to a tech day for this, and the way Intel pitched these to us was like, look at all of these people who are still using computers based on hard drives. And we're like, okay, yeah. And they're like, yeah, a lot more than you would expect, because we use SSDs. You guys, if you watch our shows, probably use SSDs. But Intel's like, actually, there's a lot of people still on hard drives. We're like, okay, those people could really benefit from this. Okay, you're probably right. And as Alan's tests show, using one of these Optane drives and pairing it up with a hard drive, really good performance. They're very good at caching. They're very intelligent in how they cache the information, and after you do something a few times, making it much, much faster. Much in the same way that Intel's Smart Response technology worked 3, 4, 5 years ago when they first introduced that, which I think was with like P67 and Sandy Bridge. Mm-hmm. However, I compare this to something like an SSD, the simplicity of buying a single SSD, and the level of expectation you'd have in actual measurable real-world performance from a person sitting and using a computer versus something happening in 10 microseconds versus 90 microseconds. Yeah. The responsiveness you get with an SSD is already there by and large for the most part. I think what this product actually is Intel's attempt at making a consumer part that doesn't cannibalize their enterprise part. Because they have enterprise parts that use Optane, that use 3D crosspoints, that are very fast, that are more in the reasonable use range as far as capacity goes, of like 375 gigabytes or I think they go up to 750 and beyond that. If Intel was to take 3D XPoint and throw it in a consumer drive and give you like, hey, here, buy a 256 gig Intel SSD based on 3D XPoint, I think they would be very much hurting their enterprise business, because if it's the same technology, if it's still the same, it has the same durability. That's one of the great advantages of 3D XPoint as well, as durability. So I think this is kind of a stopgap way of actually taking the technology and selling it to people in such a way that, yes, will help some people, but it's such a niche benefit. Again, it's going to benefit people with who are using hard drives right now. It only works with Intel Z270 and Kaby Lake.
Yeah, that's...
So you can't take this and take someone with a 4-year-old system and drop it in and use it like, here, upgrade to your cache drive, which I think would be a great use case for something like this. You have to have Z270 and Kaby Lake.
Yeah.
Which means you're buying a whole new system, which means your benefit for most people who are stuck on hard drives, I feel like, is really thrown out the window with something like this. So,
yeah, anyway. To me it only makes sense if it's an upgrade in your few-year-old system, right? Otherwise, it's like, why not just build a full system from the ground up and just replace your hard drive with an SSD with a larger capacity? This makes sense if you have like a laptop with just a hard drive in it and it's getting slow. And, you know, if they're really targeting this at people that are still on hard drives here in 2017, they're obviously not super tech savvy. So they're probably also the same kind of person that wouldn't want to migrate all the data on their hard drive over to a brand new SSD. Intel can just be like, look, just take this, just add it to your existing hardware, and it's all taken care of. You don't have to transfer files over from one drive to another. You just pop this in, it's just a little add-on. But you can't even do that because it's requiring you to upgrade to a modern gen platform.
Yes.
Which,
So yeah,
silly.
Pairing an Optane memory SSD with a hard drive will make that hard drive perform like an SSD. That's kind of cool. Pairing it with a sort of mid-level mediocre performance SSD will make that SSD perform faster as well. That's also kind of cool.
What if you Optane an Optane?
For me, though, I'd rather just buy a 250 gig SSD or a 500 gig SSD straight up right out of the gates. I'm very interested in consumer-based regular capacity drives based on Optane in the future. Optane memory, I don't see a huge place for that in the current landscape. Again, for the reasons we've discussed. So there we go. But again, guys, check out the article if you want, because Alan did a really good job testing it out. He even tested it against floppy drive.
Aren't you doing a video on Optane soon, Paul?
No.
Oh.
Why? This was my video on Optane.
That's all the coverage it really needs.
I covered Optane right after I went to the events.
This is true.
And yeah.
And that was sufficient.
Intel sent me a system with an Optane drive in it. Which I was like, why don't you just send me the Optane drive? Yeah. They sent me the system. Intel. I don't have anything to do with it. We'll figure it out later. Anyway. Yeah. All right. Biostar is launching Mini-ITX AM4 motherboards. We've kind of discussed this a little bit. They appear to be closer to launch, ready to launch. Maybe these are going to be available now. I tried to find these on Amazon and Newegg just before the show started, and I was not able to find them. But all that said, hey, Mini-ITX AM4 boards.
Why would you need an X370 Mini-ITX board?
That's a good question, Kyle.
Multi-GPU.
There's no point for it. But never mind that. Mini-ITX AM4 boards, yay!
Yeah, I mean, that's good in itself.
So they have two of these, the Biostar Racing X370 GTN and B350 GTN. The one shown here is the... I can't tell.
B350.
Can you tell?
It just looks shittier.
Is there a label on here anywhere?
That's how you know it's B350. It just looks a little shitty.
No, they're literally the exact same layout. They're like the exact same board.
I kept seeing some pictures with one of the heat sinks was yellow.
Oh, really?
Oh, they added color. That must be the more expensive one.
Potentially.
But I could be totally wrong.
Not really sure.
They could have changed the design.
Okay.
Oh, that one's only got a 4-pin CPU?
4-pin? Okay,
interesting.
maybe.
I wonder if the X370 has 8-pin.
Well, both of these are going to support 95-watt AM4 processors, so that'll go up to your 1800X level. DDR4 speeds up to 3200 megahertz. There is an M.2 32 gigabit per second 2260 or 2280 slot. It's on the back, which is not visible in these pictures because there's only a picture of the front. There is a picture of the I/O there.
Oh yeah, they're both 4-pin. It looks like, yeah, aesthetically they look exactly the same, at least from this picture.
Okay. Yeah, it has a 50/50 LED fun zone with dual 50/50 LED headers on it, which is because you know RGB, right? Because everything needs RGB. Two LED headers though. I mean, I guess some people might be interested in that. Their software is called Vivid LED DJ, and I don't want to ever use it in my life if I can avoid it.
Just because of the name.
I'm sorry. The LED software that I've had to deal with has been mediocre to okay, and I really don't have high hopes for Biostar's version of that. Nevertheless, the X370 GTN is $129. The B350 GTN is $109. Don't bother with the X370 because the X370 gives you capability to have two-way Crossfire and SLI support, which you have no access to on a Mini-ITX board.
Stupid.
So never pay $20 extra for an X370 version of this board. You should only ever buy the B350.
Any Mini-ITX board for that matter.
Yeah, there's supposed to be an X300 chipset for AM4, but we haven't seen any boards based on it yet. But that would be a more sensible chipset to use for a motherboard. All that said, Biostar has obviously put in a lot of effort to be the first with an AM4 Mini-ITX board. And who knows, maybe you'll be able to actually buy them at retail soon. We don't really know. It's launched? It's not launched. I'm not sure.
Jeez.
AOC and Porsche.
Jeez.
Two names that go together like... I don't know what they go together like. But hey, new monitors by AOC and Porsche. AOC has actually a couple new monitors. They look like this. They were co-designed with Porsche. Studio FA Porsche, to be specific.
Why is Porsche in on this?
I don't know. It reminds me of Thermaltake collaborating with BMW DesignWorks USA for their original Level 10 design. You remember that?
Yes.
I remember that. Anyway, though, these are the PDS 241 and PDS 271, 24 and 27-inch monitors, respectively. They do look fancy, but the specs are decidedly pedestrian. 250 candelas per meter square maximum brightness. 1,000 to 1 contrast ratio. They're IPS screens. They're only 1920 by 1080 resolution, though, 4 millisecond response time, and 60 hertz refresh rate. So they've taken a mediocre, somewhat passable screen and put it in what appears to be like a fancy designed circular around stand thing that was designed by Porsche.
This belongs in like a modern medical office.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very thin, as you can see here, so there are no rooms for actual usable ports on there. So there's a little breakout box you can kind of see in this picture right here. That contains the power plug and a single HDMI port, which is how you connect it.
What's that thing in the back?
It connects, that's the breakout box with the
plug
on it. It connects to the base via a Type-C connector, a USB Type-C connector, as far as they could tell at least. And it also looks like one of those stupid designs that doesn't have a VESA mount on it because they made it a fancy slim design. So that's
the screw would just go straight through the monitor.
Yeah, just straight through the monitor. I hate monitors that have fancy looking stands that don't have VESA mounts on the monitor themselves. Yeah. These will be released in June, $240 and $330 respectively for the 24 and 27-inch version. And I mostly brought this up to tell people don't buy them.
Don't do it.
Yes.
God damn it.
Yay! Time for SwordFight.
Yay! SwordFight.
SwordFight. Where Kyle and I argue about things. Okay.
I'm right.
We're gonna start off with what is this? Oh yeah. We'll start off with this here. Google is creating ad blocking software. There's conspiracy theories about why they're doing that. Why would they do that, Kyle?
Because they're Google. They can do whatever they want.
They want to do that.
They're trying to just psych us out.
Yeah, probably.
Trying to think that.
Probably are.
Trying to get us to think that they've gone crazy.
That's true.
Making us underestimate them until they fire back with their self-aware machines. Blocking all the ads.
I think you probably got a pretty good idea of what's going on here, Kyle. But
yep.
Point is, Scuttlebutt has it that Google is working on ad blocking software that will be actually integrated directly into Chrome. So there's details here. The article discusses. We're not going to worry about those. We're just going to argue about this. Should Google be allowed to make an ad blocker and integrate it with Chrome? What do you think? Yes. Yes, but isn't that kind of how Google makes money too? No, it's clearly a conflict of interest, or no, because I really like existing ad block options, and they don't need competition. What do you think, Kyle?
Oh, I'm going to say... Yeah, I don't care. Yeah, go ahead and make an ad blocker. I have this theory that their ad blocker won't actually block ads. Like people will still get paid, and they'll still charge advertisers even though people are using their ad block. Like so they'll have some kind of weird, some weird.
Tell the advertiser that the ad was viewed, but then not actually show the ad. That'd be brilliant.
Yeah, which works for us, right? Because we're YouTubers. That means like all of our viewers are like, shit, dude. It's like I've got YouTube Red, but I don't even pay $10 a month for it. Don't have to view ads, and we're still like everyone wins. You know, the only one who doesn't win is the advertisers. But screw them. They've been winning for long enough. I say implement the shady Google ad block, and we win. We get more money. Don't you like money, Paul? Wouldn't you like more of it for yourself?
I do like more money.
Then try to argue against it right now.
Okay, so I'm assuming you were saying yes 1,000 times yes. So I'm going to say yes, sure. But isn't ads how Google makes money too? Because that's the weird thing that stood out to me about this. Is because Google is largely based on ads. Google has created an entire business based on, one, being able to provide information to people, and two, being able to attach some form of advertisements to that information. Which, I mean, I use Google products and I use Google services because I think it's a fairly reasonable trade-off. I don't mind being shown an ad here or there for something if it means that I can get something for free. I watch YouTube videos and I watch a brief ad beforehand, and you know what? I don't mind blanking my mind out for 10 seconds or whatever, or ignoring whatever stupid ad shows there, because I don't typically like to watch ads, and then getting on with whatever the heck is shown there. It's a reasonable business model that makes money for the parties that are involved and gives some exposure to the people who are providing the ads. So that's what doesn't make sense to me. So yes, I'd like to see that happen, because who doesn't like a nice ad blocker integrated into your browser? At least as long as you have the capability to whitelist specific websites, specifically me and Kyle's YouTube channels. I think that's fine.
Yeah.
So, all right.
What if it only blocked like non-Google ads?
That would be... See, that would be answer 3, clearly a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
Quite clearly.
Indeed.
Okay, results from what people think so far. I win.
You win.
Isn't ads how Google make money too? But
Yarr.
most people do want it. So, yeah, it'll be nice to have it there. But there's some weird questions about this. This wasn't an article that I went into completely in depth, but it is linked in the description if you guys want to read about it a little bit more. And of course, if you didn't have a chance to vote right now, or if we're looking at the votes too quickly, these straw polls will still be open if you want to continue to vote.
Cool.
Next up, here's an article from motherboard.vice.com, specifically about Apple and Apple repair companies, the companies like the licensed Apple repair service companies. It's been revealed by some documentation from their program that they have to work with the licensed Apple repair service companies, that basically Apple has very specific exclusions for recycling, just in that you're not allowed to. Recyclers have to shred all iPhones and MacBooks. You're not allowed to reuse them. You're not allowed to harvest parts from them to repair other devices. You're not allowed to resell them at all. You just got to shred them up, divide them into their constituent-based components, and then I assume go shit on the environment somewhere or something like that.
So all the environmentalists, I would say, are the ones being triggered by this.
Well, it depends. It depends how you look at it. I mean, because you can take something like that, you can shred it, and then you can still recycle the parts that are shredded up. However,
Apple's saying dispose of them, like do not recycle them, even if you shred them.
Recycling is okay, but you can't reuse them.
Oh, okay.
And you can't repair them.
Two different types of recycling. But
the right to repair is something that a lot of people, especially in the makerspace or in communities where you want to adopt a mentality not of using something and then throwing it away and getting a new one, but using something, using it as much as you can, And if that thing is functional for you and works well, to repair that thing if it breaks and keep using it and use it as long as you might possibly be able to.
Right.
And
It's kind of like saying there can be no organ donors.
Yeah. And when it comes to electronics,
it's got a perfectly good heart.
the mentality of taking electronics, like my GH4 broke, like the HDMI out doesn't work on it. Oh, well, I'm just gonna go buy a GH5. You know, like that's that kind of BS, right? That people do.
Like yourself.
That's what I did last week.
Hypocrite.
I'm a hypocrite. But point is, we're gonna argue this right now. Apple sucks because of this. So how much more should we hate them? There's several options here, obviously, that people can choose from. So feel free to peruse those. I will post in chat theoretically, and since Kyle went first last time, I'm gonna go first this time.
Okay.
Of course, I gotta post these in chat first. How much more should we hate them? I'm gonna say option 2. I thought I hated Apple as much as I could hate Apple because obviously Apple sucks. Like it's a terrible company. The products that they make are, you know, they're all shiny and fancy, but really internally they're not all that great. Sure, you know, the software, they have software and operating system and stuff and protect people from FBI and that kind of thing, but who cares about all that? What we really care about is the ability to reuse the stuff that we buy, the ability to, say, take an operating system and install it on a piece of hardware that wasn't made by a specific company that's called Apple, and the ability to do what we want with the stuff that we buy. Like, if I buy a product, I should be able to do whatever the hell I want with it, which includes repairing it, which includes taking pieces of that product and pieces of a different product and combining them together to make a new product that works better and that's faster, that's sentient, that has the ability to think and become a better living organism than people are, to eventually replace people. Point is, I thought I hated Apple before, but now, wait, is that what I was arguing for?
You're number 2.
I'm number 2. Thought I hated him before, but then I found out about this. Now I'm super pissed off.
Now you hate him even more.
Apple sucks.
Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna say that I was already at maximum hate. There's no more hate to hate. This doesn't surprise me that Apple would pull some kind of shit like this. I wouldn't put it past them in a million years. So when this news came out, I was like, I still hate you the same. I still hate you at 100%. I can't go beyond 100%, Paul. I can't do it. 100% is the maximum.
Your dials don't go to 11.
I wish I had a dial that went to 11 for how much I hate Apple, but unfortunately that dial has already been set to 11. If only it went to 12.
Dials don't go to 12, Cap.
No, they don't. That's all I have to say.
I am not drunk. What are you talking about, chat? You're drunk. Nonsense. Okay. Let's see what people think about this one.
Okay.
Curious what the results are. Oh, look, I won again.
Yeah. Well, it's very close.
I was not expecting to win.
You could give it a couple minutes.
But most people were already right up there. Like,
true.
wow, already hating Apple, but now maybe a little bit more.
Yep.
Or now maybe I still hate Apple.
I have to agree with
everyone. There was 18% that were tolerant of Apple, but now they wish all phones would explode in painful ways.
That's violent. It's very violent.
Of course,
but non-life-threatening, though.
That's the same as option 3, but the people die. Did you notice that one?
I did. I thought that was dark.
I kind of like that one.
I tried to argue. I was going to argue it, and I was like, no, I don't have it in me right now.
Then we have 7% that think it is a reasonable and profitable business practice when the economics of scarcity are considered, and they also pee all over public toilets and don't clean up afterwards.
Gross.
That's disgusting.
That's really gross.
All right. Well, we've just plowed through my content for this half of the show, but don't worry. Don't worry. It's almost dinner time.
Yay!
We are going to wrap up my half with a bit of question answering, I should say. We should question all the answers and answer all the questions.
What do we got?
I don't know. I've lost track of everything right now.
Okay. No, wait. That's my half. Paul's half.
Yeah, I need to open the window.
Oh, the $50 was for you.
It was.
Damn you, A-bomb.
Nice A-bomb.
Why did it pop up on my chat? That's weird.
Or Cell might have just taken it because he knew it was on your half, but then moved it to my half because we didn't talk about it.
True.
That's fine.
Coda for $10. Paul, do you dress to the left or to the right? Asking for a friend.
Do I dress to the left or to the right?
Yeah. Like, you know.
I'm right in the middle. I'm right down the center.
Me too, I think.
Right? I mean, that's what I try to go for.
I think I'm answering that question correctly, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Coda.
Okay.
You crazy, bro. Maverick Metals, $5. Y'all should do a live PC for a giveaway. And also, Kyle, how's the VR Fit Challenge going?
Oh, yeah.
It's going really well, honestly. I think I'm on week 2 right now. I've been doing it 4 times a week consistently.
Nice.
It's a lot of work, but it's kind of cool because I have to like clear out my office every time I do it. So it like forces me to clean my room.
Oh,
like every few days, so there's no like pile-up problem happening. It's really nice, and I do feel like a bit more energetic from doing it. I mean, I've exercised regularly in the past, believe it or not, and I felt energized then, and I feel energized now for doing the VR thing. So I think part 2 of the video will be pretty interesting to see how much weight I lose. I guarantee you that I will lose something. I can't say how much, but there will be an amount.
I'm curious.
Yeah.
Also, I think there was a couple other donations. A-bomb was on my half, so thank you, A-bomb, very much for that $50 donation. Wonderful. Black Unicorn Gaming donated $2 and said, "Show nips for tips."
Nips for tips.
Hey, you tipped first. You gotta demand that first.
Yeah.
And then tip, because right now we already got your tip.
Give and you shall receive.
We don't need to show our nips.
Indeed.
Marcus Lagergren said he dropped another SEK20 on us, and he said SEK is Swedish currency, by the way.
Yeah.
Because he donated on your half as well. And he said, thanks for the answer. You're very welcome, Marcus. Thank you so much for your donations.
Sweet.
And then we had Kodas. And then we had Maverick Metals, $5 donation. Y'all should do a live PC build for give. Oh, no. The Kyle already said that one.
Yep.
And we already answered that. So good.
Yep.
Brian Webb donated $2. What can you tell me about the Q9650?
Nothing.
It's an older processor. It's like, what is it? That was a quad core, I believe. Q9650. Yeah. I don't know. It's yeah. That's a Core 2 quad. That was a Core 2 quad.
You need an upgrade, is what we would say, for mostly everything.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
LGA
wow, you can still
775.
buy it on Amazon. Oh, you can buy them used on Amazon for $65.
LGA 775.
Yeah, LGA 775. Probably almost as popular as the Q6600 for Scrapyard Wars.
Yeah.
Brian Webb, another donation. You donated 2 and then you donated 10. He said, this is for Paul because I have Adblock. Don't worry, Kyle. I have your Ultra channel. Woo. Brian, thank you so much for that. We really appreciate it.
Yep.
Whether or not you support us monetarily or use Adblock or whatever, we're very happy that you guys watch our stuff. And if you do happen to do that as well, that's super awesome. Lucas Shanley, thank you for your $2 donation. I enable and watch ads on channels I enjoy. So do I. So do I, Lucas. Or you get YouTube Red, which I really like YouTube Red.
Yep.
My YouTube Red money gets spread around a lot.
What do you mean? Oh, yeah.
I mean, I just watch lots of random YouTube videos. They're just playing there, like on my phone while I'm doing something else.
Me too.
It seems like a lot. Rancid Marshmallow, $5 donation. I say if you want 30 Hz 720p, you need dual Titan XPs. That's very true.
Seems legit.
Very, very true. Juvenile1228, $50. Do a flip.
Do a flip, Paul. It's $50. You have to do a flip.
Wait.
What if you actually tried it right now, though? What if you actually did it?
I would die. I'd probably fall on my neck and kill myself and die.
But you would die
it's
$50 richer.
Flip?
Why are we even arguing this? How is this even a debate? This is the easiest decision. It's not on my half of the show. You get the $50.
I can pound the rest of my beer.
If you kill yourself, I don't get to keep your. Can I keep your $50 if you die?
Well, obviously.
And then I don't have to do a flip because it was on.
You should.
Didn't start on my half of the show.
All right, Juvenile1228. Thank you for your $50 donation, and we will do flips
later
on. Jay Maxey, thank you for your $5 donation. Just wanted to thank you both. Thanks to your content, I'm building my first PC tomorrow. I'm a bit scared but confident. Thanks to both of you. Don't be scared, Jay Maxey.
Don't be scared.
You're going to do a great job. We're very confident in you, and I bet you chose really good parts.
Fight the good fight.
So, yeah. Keep it up. Good job. $5 donation from Lucas Shanley. Brofist, guys. About to do homework. Just stopped by to say, hey, I'm really optimistic about the software engineering position, if you remember. Hey, Lucas. Wait, does that mean you got it? No, are you still waiting? Still waiting to find out if you got the software engineering position.
I don't know what that means.
Wait,
Hopefully it means
he was in line for a software engineering position. He asked us advice about it, I believe. If I remember correctly. You don't remember, that's fine.
I sort of remember.
I sort of remember too. Don't get me wrong, if I was stressed for details here, I would not be able to answer them very appropriately.
So it seems like he's still waiting to see if he
Yes,
if
but
he
point
gets
is, Lucas, good luck. Good luck with your homework. I hope you do a good job. Thank you for your donation. Finally, Alex Henry, $5 donation. Hey, Paul, this question is for Kyle, actually. How is the Go Anywhere PC holding up with the cutout?
It's good. I honestly haven't used it too much since for a while now. It's been several months, but I am planning to upgrade it with a new graphics card as well as a Mini-ITX AM4 board. Once those are available, perhaps one of the Biostar B350s that we just talked about.
That'd be cool.
I think it's due for an upgrade. But so far, it's been holding up, even with that little modification that I made, cutting out the part of the crossbar. Seems to be very rigid, especially when it's all like, you know, when the cover is actually screwed down nice and tight. That sort of provides some extra rigidity. So
she's saying you can like fold it in half now, like an accordion.
Yeah, it's actually a feature
Nice.
now that it crumples.
It's
great for car accidents.
It's very portable that way.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a few Johnson shoutouts.
Yeah.
I have 3, it looks like. First one goes to Patrick. Thank you, Patrick. He got some he got the pub glass.
Patrick.
From Indiana. Thank you so much, Patrick. I got one from Brendan.
Brandon Double Johnson.
Double Johnson for Brendan.
Pint glass.
He got the pint glass and the pub glass. Woo. So you have plenty of drinking receptacles.
Yes.
And finally, Brian from Wisconsin. Thank you so much, Brian.
Wisconsin.
Got the thumbscrew decal.
I got one from Daniel from Illinois. Thank you very much for picking
Thank
up
you, Daniel.
a pint glass, sir.
Lovely. Oh, wait, I have one more that just came in moments ago.
Oh, me too.
From Michael.
Yeah, Michael.
Hey, Michael.
Double Johnson, the last
Double
minute.
Johnson for you.
Good
Zero
timing.
insertion for shirt, thumbscrew decal.
CPU cooler, shirt, and the tri-blend shirt.
Fabulous.
Thank you, sir.
Wonderful.
Yep.
All right, and
Beautiful.
that wraps it up for Awesome Hardware for this week. Episode 103 in the can.
In the can.
It's been great. It's been great. You guys have been great. I've had a great time. It's been wonderful.
You guys are the best.
We're gonna be trying to bring back the after party starting next week.
Yeah.
Not this week, but next week.
Paul needs a new gaming streaming system.
Yeah. If you don't notice,
He gave away his old
streaming
one.
system that was right back there has not been replaced yet, and I do not have a system that's set up for proper gaming.
All this hardware. You don't even have a system that you can game and stream on.
I know, it's really stupid.
Most of the people watching this have more than you do.
I
right
don't
now.
have much excuse for this, but
Pitiful.
I'm going to fix it soon. Of course, there is a very slim chance that something might happen, so stay tuned to our Twitters if you guys are interested. Mine is Paul Hardware. Kyle is Bitwit Kyle. And finally, we're going to do a Twitch raid. If you guys are watching live right now and you want to go watch someone on Twitch, we're raiding Femme Iviore. FEMME _ IVOIRE. Once again, twitch.tv / FEMME _ IVOIRE. So tell her, I'm assuming she's a female because it says femme.
She's a female. I'm watching her right now. She's playing Player Unknown's Battlegrounds.
Wonderful.
Hot game.
Tell her that we sent you, and tell her what's up, and check that out. And thanks, Cell, for providing that. Thanks, Cell, and wait, who else was here?
Spider.
We had
was
Spider
here
here.
earlier. At
Spider
least.
was here earlier at least.
Yes.
Thanks you guys for
Anyone
helping
else
out.
we might have missed?
Thanks to everyone who watched live.
We love all of you.
You're wonderful people, and we have more videos coming soon. We'll be back next week with more awesome hardware.
That's true.
Okay.
Bye, guys. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.